Hey, Betty. Hey, Naomi. Bob.
Afternoon.
Hello, Charles.
How's everybody doing?
Hey.
Yeah, everybody have a pretty good lunch?
Yep.
Good. Give everybody a second or two to get here. We've got 5 of us. There's Bernice. All right. Got. But well, I see Bernice, but doesn't have any sound. There's Wanda.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
Yeah, I'll ask you and Bernice, since you at the end of the last class you were leaving, I guess, to attend Kermit's class. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I know at one point we had kind of a conflict because we were both kind of at the same time. We were starting around 11. And so I moved mine to 10 so that, there wouldn't be an overlap. Now, does he have his class at 2 or in the afternoon or what?
Yes, he also has a class at 10. His class in the beginning was 10 and yours was 11.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around. I thought he and I both had 11.
No, he was at 10 and you were at 11, and then you changed yours to 10.
10 because I wanted to leave a longer space for lunch for people.
Yeah.
And then he
does
has one
10,
at 2
10,
o'clock.
12, 2, and 4.
Yeah. Some of his 2 o'clock classes are only half-hour classes.
Uh-huh.
So we're able to attend the first 30 minutes and then go to you.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out how all this works.
Okay. It's really a back and forth thing,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, all right. We'll give that some thought. Maybe
There's a woman doing another class too. Not lithograph. Another art class. Some woman. Same time, I think.
In the morning?
It's on the schedule.
I mean, is it in the morning you're talking about or in the afternoon?
I think it was in the morning.
That inspirational art.
Well,
There was another, but it was a woman.
Yeah, well, Inspirations for Art is my class on.
Yeah, this
Monday.
is another class.
I think
Make
it's
something out of nothing.
Nicole's class, Nicole Smith.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. Well,
We're sort of like doing
I couldn't
tumbling
get
balls
in.
here.
I don't know why, but I
classes.
couldn't get in her class at all. I can't get in it.
huh. Okay.
You might have to check the new schedule that Andre sent out, him and Richardson. They sent out new emails this week.
Right. They did. Yeah. And Sabrina sent out, well, it's basically the same document, but yeah, it's got the link to the new classes. So, yeah, if you guys have any problems with getting into classes and things, let me know. I can always forward a schedule to you if you need it. Because I get those updates as well.
Okay.
So whatever we need to do to get you guys where you need to go. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. All right. So we got 11 of us. That's good. Well, actually 10 since Naomi is showing up twice. Anyway, let's get rocking and rolling here. And I want to show you some things. These are pieces that you guys sent in. And so I want to kind of share them with you and talk to you about them. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we're going to be doing on Wednesday, since it deals with painting, and about a project that, I've started and been kind of playing with the idea for actually a very long time, but actually taking some steps to move toward, doing something with it now. Okay. So I'm going to do a screen share, and we're going to start with you guys first. And Wanda, I know you'll be surprised and amazed, but we're actually going to start with you.
Oh my God, I am.
And the reason we're going to do that is, because I normally start at the top and go down, and a lot of times, you know, it's like as we get to the end, you know, we get pushed to kind of talk about things. So, you know, we're gonna start down, you know, at the bottom this time and work our way up. Is that okay?
Yes, fine.
Okay. All right. Now, some of you have seen this because I did show it and talked about it briefly, and you were not.
Those things again.
Yeah, you were not.
Those things again.
Yeah, you were not here the afternoon that I talked about these. That's why I kind of wanted to go over them again, since I was hoping you'd be back. Anyway, these are your, what did you call them? Some wishing dolls or something like that?
Yes, they're called wishing dolls. I visited one of my friends in Tennessee, and she was making some small ones about the size of a 16-ounce bottle of, as you call soda. We call it pop-up North, but soda.
Okay.
And so I liked it, and I went home and I decided to make one bigger. And so I made it out of a 64-ounce bottle.
Okay,
And,
so these actually fit over a bottle as a base then?
Yes.
Okay.
And you can fill it with coins for your wishes or beautiful stones or whatever you want to fill it up with.
Okay.
And I was retired, and so I decided I'd try and do something, and this helped me with my sewing, and I just loved the dress of the period of this time. Even though most of the women back during those years of slavery and indenturedness, they did wear some beautiful things that they made themselves. And so I saw them on movies, and it just inspired me to do this.
Okay,
And,
so
yeah.
this would have been clothing from the like 17th and 18th centuries?
Yes, during, let me see, yes.
Would it be like colonial, like in America or?
Yes, in America. Some of it was from New Orleans because a lot of the style came from Paris, in France.
Okay.
And it went on into mostly Louisiana.
Okay. All right. Okay. So tell us about this doll, if you will, because each of them have kind of a different theme to them.
Different story. Yes. This doll was probably one of the women who worked in the homes. She was usually the one who did the shopping or took care of the things around the house. That's why her dress is different with the lace apron and the jewelry.
Okay.
And so that's how she is. The little fat lady down there. This is the grandmother with grandchildren.
Okay. Same period though, right?
Yes, same. This is all the same period.
Okay.
And she's looking down at her grandchildren, and this is somewhat like a teaching effort because it was passed through generations on how we were living our lives and how our ancestors lived their lives.
Okay.
Through this.
Wanda, what are the heads stuffed with?
Cotton.
Like cotton balls?
No, like batting.
Okay. Okay.
And then you got a pair of them here.
Oh yes, and these are workers too. Like one woman is the dishwasher; she does the dishes. The other one does fabric, because that's fabric inside her bucket. And it's the normal lifestyle. I just liked making these dolls and making them look pretty, and like I said, I was retired, so I wasn't into painting yet. I did these when I first retired back in 2004, 2005.
Okay. All right. And then you have this, which you wrote something about, and this is supposed to be sort of like you, right?
Well, this is called Big Mama. And Big Mama likes to yarn. I must have made about maybe about 5 Big Mamas for people. And I made them doing different things.
Right.
But this one I made for my daughter, and she liked it. So this is in her home. Well, one of them is in.
Yeah, but now doesn't that kind of like represent like you, in your craft and things like that?
At the time, I wasn't thinking that way. I was thinking how back in the day, how our ancestors learned how to yarn and learned how to sew. So this is depicting that. It really wasn't about me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because somewhere, I think it was in the email you sent me, or you had written something up, and you were saying how, well, at least in my memory, that because you use yarn in your art, that this sort of represented you in some way. But okay. Anyway,
Okay.
anyway,
But yes, I love doing it.
yeah. Anyway, so then we have this piece,
Oh, yes.
different, a little different
Yeah.
than the, fabric pieces.
Yeah.
Okay. So
This is
tell us a
something I
little bit
did.
about this.
I did this in about maybe a half hour, 45 minutes. It was just a political statement I wanted to put on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
so I did. At first, I started sketching it out and realized I was on the back of the flat canvas instead of the front.
Okay.
And it came out better than what I probably would have done on the canvas side. So it was just a political statement, how, we're wearing the masks to protect ourselves from the virus, but yet we're being not listened to or not heard.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
so it was a
So
political
that would
statement on my
be
side.
the hand over the mouth.
Yes, yes.
I see a little teardrop.
Yes,
Alright.
she's crying because
Now,
it's,
what's the red line that's on the left side?
that's another stripe in the flag.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, this seems to be the American flag behind.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I see the stars and stripes in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I had just to share a story with you, I had a student for a good number of years at Benson, and she did, it seems like every painting that she did dealt with some sort of social issue or political sort of statement, and in fact, there is a whole genre of art about, contemporary, political statements. And some of them are, very easy to read and very clear to understand. And others of them are a lot more subtle, you know. But a lot of art is in many senses political because it's talking about the time in which we live, and the things going on. So, this is it's an appropriate subject to, incorporate in your day-to-day art, because this is things that, we're all experiencing, or, going through and seeing happen. And believe me, right now, there's a lot to talk about,
Oh yeah,
there.
there is. There is.
There's a lot to talk about out there, that we could use as a source of inspiration, to create, art and, kind of share our particular viewpoint on life, as we're experiencing it today. So that's good.
Absolutely.
And you said you did that in about 45 minutes?
Yeah, it didn't take too long because a lot of it is in pencil and
I'm looking at the eyes and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and the knuckles on the hand,
Yeah. Well,
after I finished it, I thought the hand should have been a little bigger.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. It could be.
Oh,
Could have been
okay.
bigger.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said this was like color pencil?
Yeah, some of it is color pencil, some of it is a little bit of crayon, charcoal. It's a mix.
Okay, so it's mixed medias.
Yes.
Yeah, because in looking at it, a lot of it looks like it was probably crayon, just because of the texture, and it has, some of the color has kind of a waxy feel to it, where you kind of overlap and build up. So, okay. All right. And then you sent us this piece as well. And this is a piece that you had done, I guess, quite a while ago, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And when you had mentioned about taking something that you've already done and improving on it, I took this and I put it on another back uh,
Yeah.
something
Yeah,
on the
like
back, and
bigger.
then I embellished it more.
Okay. Yeah, because I had a picture of that. I thought it was in the mix, but it doesn't seem to be.
I thought I
Uh,
remember seeing that. So.
yeah.
Did you have a mold to make the face? In the
No, actually, I was at the Goodwill and I saw this piece here, and it was of a man. And so I decided, well, I'm going to change it into a woman. And so that's what I did.
That is neat.
Yeah, it's interesting that you would say, you know, I know you probably added in like a lot of the eye makeup and, you know, stuff like that. Because this was all kind of like monotone, like one solid color, right? When you got,
That's the original color.
yeah, the gold.
Yes, that's the
Yeah.
original color. Yeah.
Okay. And then you painted in, you know,
The eyebrows and put the eyelashes on. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But it's like the shape of the mouth, you know, even though it's got a smile, it seems to be larger than what you would expect for like a male mouth. And it
Mhm.
seems to have more shape in it, kind of like a woman's mouth anyway. So, huh.
I would never thought to get something like that from a thrift store.
I know. Sometimes you get
Well,
some good buys.
yeah, yeah. And you know, the thing about thrift stores, I mean, they're a wealth of resources as far as ideas and things. You can find all kinds of things in them. You know, Goodwill and any of those thrift type stores, you never know what you're going to find. You know,
Right.
I mean, you can find some great things like, you know, really, really nice picture frames that are
Right.
really
Yes.
inexpensive, you know,
I
and
got quite a bit of them.
yeah,
That's all
and
about
depending on the type of work you do, like a lot of times I'll find like really good picture frames in Goodwill for like drawings and prints because
Mhm.
the majority of them tend to be sort of the thinner depth frames.
Yeah.
I don't often find like the deep set frames for canvases. Okay,
Mhm.
occasionally you'll come across one or two there, but you know most of them are, you know, more for prints and things. But you know, if you do a lot of drawings and stuff like that, or work in mixed media and work on you know, like papers and things that are fairly flat, those frames are great and they're not expensive, and you know they can be, you know, repurposed. You know, even if they look kind of funky, you know, and are a little bit kind of beat up and stuff, you know, it's really easy to take those and clean them up, you know, with a can of like gold spray paint or metallic spray paint or really any color that you want to use,
Yeah.
and you can refinish that frame and, you know, and have it, you know, kind of complement, you know, your artwork.
Absolutely. I've done it. Yes. It
Yeah, so
does.
you can customize, you know, those things, and you don't feel bad about doing it because it probably didn't cost you, you know, more than $8 or $10, you know,
Mhm.
on that frame.
$5 sometimes.
Year 5. That's right.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, well, depending on the size that you buy and stuff, I mean, you can get them in all kinds of price ranges. But I think the highest frame that I've ever seen at Goodwill when I go by there is probably like $19 or $20.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and that's like for a big, you know, a pretty good size frame. You know, they don't get terribly expensive there, which is great. You know, so again, you know, it's a great resource. You know, it's well worth stopping and checking out.
Mhm.
So anyhow, so this is some of the artwork that when I look at this, you know, I recognize that you did it because of the materials and, you know, kind of the approach to it. And it
Yes.
kind of reminds me of, you know, the lady that we were looking at this morning because of the combination of image and calligraphy.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because you use both type elements and imagery together, and so it's just reminiscent of that. But so tell us a little bit about this piece, please.
This was one of my first ones I did when I first started getting into the yarn needle work, and I first began to buy. This frame came from Michael's because I didn't know about getting frames from the Goodwill yet. So this frame came from Michael, so everything, you know, fit perfectly.
Mhm.
Although in the back, the canvas is sitting out a little more because I've got it taped down so that it, you know, it can be hung.
Mhm.
But I like this because I like the wording and, you know, and all the colors and the different designs of the yarn on her dress and top and her,
So
cape
Wanda,
like.
is that your wording or did you purchase that piece of fabric with it on there already?
No, I bought all these different alphabet letters like
Yeah,
this.
they're like press type, right?
Yes.
You rub
And so
down.
I wrote down what I wanted and then I bought the amount that I needed to use, how many B's and G's and O's and stuff, and I made the words up myself.
Is it an adhesive?
Yes, when you get it off the little piece of cardboard thing it comes on, you pull it off. I pulled it off with a tweezer. But first I lay out my words, how I want them to be, and then I put them onto the canvas.
So these are actually like vinyl that you stick down?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they are like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
And
Yeah.
you used a ruler to make it straight?
Yes, I made sure that I made a very light line so I could know where to put them at so they would be even and not, you know, off any bit.
Yeah. Yeah, just to let you know, for those of you who want to incorporate text and things into your art pieces, there's different ways of doing it. But there is a product out there. It was made by a company called Chart Pack. And what they do is they have a lot of like graphic images, like arrows and things like stars and various things. But they also have different letter forms in different fonts. So you can buy specific fonts and specific sizes in those fonts so that you can hand letter things. And basically it comes, you know, have all these letters and they're on a kind of a plastic sheet, and you just have to lay it down over your piece, and your piece has to have something hard underneath it. It can't be on a canvas that's going to give or move. So if you do want to do it on a canvas, then just put something under it so that the canvas is up against a hard surface, and then you can just burnish that letter down onto, you know, the surface that you want and transfer the letter down to your image. And you know, you can create all kinds of phrases and stuff with it. You could write a whole novel if you wanted to buy enough pieces of those, you know, right there on your artwork. So you know, that's a way of getting text included. And there are a couple of different resources. Well, I have to kind of check on that now since the pandemic, but there are different graphic artists and graphic studios that have, you know, basically the equipment that if you want to write something out on your computer in a particular font or something, you can send them the file and they can make you a custom chart pack, you know, piece with that text laid out exactly the way you want it. And then you can just take and rub that whole thing down. It's probably around about, you know, $25 or $30, you know, to do that, you know, for a sheet. You know, but that's, you know, with you sending them the file and they're going to produce it, you know, and you know, they'll do it. They can do it in almost any color you want. You know, so it's customized. So if you need a, you know, white text on a dark background or gold or silver or something like that, they can do all those different colors, you know, and give you specifically what you want. Okay.
Okay.
And if you need any of you are interested in that, I'll try to get some names for, you know, some of the resources locally that you can do that. Okay.
Okay.
Here's another piece that you did, and I'm guessing this was kind of from the same time period.
Yes, this is my very first one I did. Very
Okay.
first.
All right.
And I always like to put the words in to give inspiration to
Mhm.
women. And this really was my vocal thing, focus on doing this yarn art with the words.
Okay.
So yeah, this was my very first one.
Mhm.
And it's hanging on my wall now. And just inspirational.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I said, I got these frames from this. I bought these frames from Michael's before I knew about getting stuff from, the Goodwill, finding already used frames.
Right.
But I made sure I used my coupons though.
You know, for your very first one, you understood the angle to make sure that where her foot is, the angle pulled down for your very first one. That's amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's a nice kind of fluid figure.
Angles
I also noticed that you know, in a couple of your pieces that you kind of do yourself. You use yourself as a model, you know, on occasions, which is good. You know, you
Yeah.
should do that. But yeah, this definitely is you as as the character. You know, it resembles your profile,
Okay,
your
my
face.
profile? Okay.
So Wanda, is this embroidered? Is it on canvas or is it on
It's on
fabric?
canvas. It's on canvas. Everything that I do yarn is on canvas.
And you use you use embroidery needles to
Yes.
make. Okay.
Yes, I do. But not just regular embroidery needles because they have to be strong enough to go through canvas.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Charles. I'm sorry, I almost missed it again.
Okay,
But
who is this?
This is Surin.
Oh, hey, Sharon, how you
yeah.
doing?
I'm so
Hi.
sorry. I almost missed it again. I'm getting old.
You're getting old, huh?
Yeah, and also my camera doesn't work on this computer, so I apologize for that.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, you look very green right now.
I know.
Okay.
But as far as the picture looking at me, when I was a little girl, my father, he liked to draw little characters. And he taught me how to make my first picture. And he said, now put your mold down there so we'll know this is you.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, okay. I must have been about 8 years old. And that stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
So on some things I do, as you said, this is my first one.
Put what down there?
Put my mole. I have a mole under my eye.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And my dad would tell me when I was little, put your mold on it so we know that's you. And so I used to do that when I draw pictures of any woman,
Mm-hmm.
any girl. Yeah.
Yeah, it's your beauty mark.
Yeah.
It's
But
So
it's not on all my photos. It's not on all my photos, just
No, but
a few. Yeah.
So is the paint, is it pencil or acrylic or oil, the face and hands?
Everything is yarn.
The face is also yarn?
The face I colored, but the hands are yarn. That's
Uh-huh.
very, very thin.
right. You can kind of see the stitching on this one.
Yeah. Mhm.
The background color of the face is that painted?
That's
or
color.
drawn?
That's a color pen. What do you call it? Watercolor pen.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Yeah, because it didn't look like it was stitched on that. And
Yeah.
so, but now the outline is like a pen line or something like that.
Yeah, that's a pen line. Yes.
Okay. All right.
I tried to use the thread, but it didn't look right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
That would be
pencil.
difficult, you know, stitching around that
Mhm.
profile
Yeah.
and getting it to kind of lay the way you want to.
Mhm.
All right. So one last piece, Wanda, and then we're gonna
Okay.
leave you alone.
Okay.
And you were talking
This was
about
fun.
yeah, and you were talking about putting down that gold
Yes.
and that the fact that you found that to be difficult.
It was very difficult. Once I put the gold on the canvas and I had it the way I liked it to look, I began to draw my picture.
Mhm.
But I had to do it very lightly because anywhere that I made a mistake that I had to erase, the gold erased also.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I just kept on working with it. And when I tried to, as you see the brown, the dark brown around there, I had to build that up because I tried to, change the color, but the gold kept coming out and I couldn't put the gold back on because I already had my picture on there.
Okay.
So it was just frustrating until I said, you know what, I'm just going to work on through this and this is how it's going to turn out. I'll try
So
something
now-
different. So I'll never do that again.
Yeah, so the gold that you're laying down, was that acrylic or was that oil?
Yeah, it was acrylic. Everything on here is acrylic.
Okay, all right. And okay, so here's what I've got to say about working with metallic paints.
Okay.
There's a couple things you got to keep in mind. You notice that, you know, it's really, really difficult to photograph metallic paint.
Yes, yes.
You know, because they're either going to, depending on the angle of the light and everything else, it's going to burn everything out, so you don't get any detail because it's so reflective, and or it's going to do something like this where you get a lot of shadows. You know, when you look at this piece, you probably don't see these darker areas here. It's just a change in the texture and how the light is being reflected or caught, you know, on the paint itself. And that's the thing that really makes metallics difficult, you know, to work with. But what I can tell you about laying down metallic paint is, first of all, don't water it down. Okay, don't add water to it. Don't thin it. Use it straight as it comes out of the tube or the jar. Okay, unless it's like really, really dry. Okay, but most of the time it's going to be fairly fluid for you. And when you do lay it down in one direction, let that dry, and then come back and change the angle slightly. Now, when I say slightly, I'm not talking 90 degrees. So don't go across this way and then straight down. You know, come back in and do maybe, you know, if you lay it horizontally the first time, then change it by maybe 20 degrees, you know, and put the next layer down, you know, at that angle, right? Let that dry, turn it a little bit more, you know, another 20 degrees or so, not back to where it was horizontal again, but another. And every time you lay it down, try to move a different direction, okay? And build it up. And my experience in putting down metallics, you know, you're not going to be able to get away with just 2 coats. You know, metallic paint does not cover the way that other paints do. And just normally, as a general practice, I usually put 5 or 6 coats of metallic paint down on anything.
Oh, okay. I remember that.
Yeah, and in fact, I'm going to talk about that a little bit when I show you a project that I'm getting into, because even those small areas, very seldom do I ever just put down one passage of metallic paint. You know, I mean, there are some times when it goes down and it's okay, and I'll just let it go. But for the most part, if you really want something to appear to be metallic, you got to hit it at least maybe 3 or 4 times. So you've got to be very patient with it. Now, the only alternative to that is to use a foil, right? And we talked about, you know, you would paint in the sizing, let the sizing dry, lay the sheet of foil on it, and then, you know, rub it back, you know, any of the excess. And that will give you a nice solid coverage of a metallic, you know, on your surface. But it's, again, you know, it's a different process. And, you know, depending on your design, you would either put the metallic down first and then do all of your painting, you know, up to and just slightly over the edge of the metallic. And or you would do all your painting, let that dry totally, put your sizing down, and then put your metallic on top of that as a last finishing step. You know, if you're using foils or flakes or anything like that. So, you know, just keep that in mind. But, you know, metallics are a challenge to work with.
I have a question about the acrylic metallic.
Uh-huh.
If you put some Mod Podge on it before you do your picture, that will keep it from coming off, wouldn't it?
No.
Or wouldn't?
No, and the Mod Podge is going to put down it's going to leave a texture that you're going to be putting you know, if you want that texture, that's fine. But just the nature of metallics as they are, you know, and to try to avoid like these dark areas like this.
Mhm.
Like I said, you're gonna have to go over it like, you know, 4 or 5 times, and you're gonna have to constantly change the direction in which you lay down the paint.
Mhm.
Because what's happened here is, you see, you've worked horizontally with it, right?
Yes.
And this is where your brush kind of lifts up at the end, and you
Mhm.
leave a little more paint over here than you do in the center.
Okay.
See, and so, you know, that's kind of what's happening. And then at some point, you kind of worked, you know, up and down at a 90-degree angle,
Mhm.
and that's why you're getting that shadowing, because, you know, some of your paint strokes are moving horizontally, others are moving vertically, and so the light is catching on, you know, those different strokes moving against each other.
Okay.
And if you keep changing the angle all the way around,
Mhm.
then it will have it will be more diffused and more even, you know, and you'll see that, you know, you'll kind of get this effect everywhere rather than just, you know, in like one spot or another. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'll remember that. So I won't give up.
No.
Don't-
No, it's just a matter of getting used to working with the material. Okay.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it's fun and great material to work with, and it opens up, you know, like a whole nother facet to your work, you know, because there's so many different things that you can do with metallic paint. And, you know, metallic paints, you know, most people think, you know, gold, silver, bronze, and copper, right? But now, you know, there's paint manufacturers out there who make whole lines of metallic paints in pinks and blues and greens and, you know, everything else. So, you know, you can find all kinds of things out there to work with, you know, in metallics. Okay.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Again, you know, the challenge with metallics is they look beautiful, you know, when you're actually looking at them and they're hanging on the wall, but trying to reproduce them and photograph them
Mhm.
is difficult. You know, it is. And, you
Yeah,
know,
because
just,
it looks so much prettier
yeah,
in
yeah, then
person than it does on there.
yeah, then you'll ever be able to photograph it.
Mm-hmm.
And really the only thing you can do to help that is if you've got a good camera and you've got what you call a polarizing filter, you can get something close to what the metallic really looks like, because it will cut down on your reflection, you know, when you photograph the piece. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. This was a drawing. I don't think he's here. You know, we saw him this morning. He's down in Florida, you know,
Oh
vacationing.
yeah.
And this is Richard. And so he did a drawing of himself. So, and then we have Naomi. You here, Naomi?
The horse is racing towards us.
Okay, I'm here. Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yes, we
Okay,
can.
that horse is a very long canvas.
Uh-huh.
It's maybe 3 feet.
Oh, okay. 3 feet
So it's-
by how wide?
I don't know, but it's dramatic looking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a, well, we would consider it a landscape, though you've treated it vertically. So, you know, you put your subject on there as a vertical.
Yeah. Well, it's very dramatic looking. And if we ever have a show at Benson, I want that in the show because it's something different because of the size.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So it's 36 inches in
I
height.
think it's about maybe it's big, it's long, and that makes it striking. It's
Yeah.
black and white and gray.
Mhm. But it's not 12 by 36.
No, it's not 12. No,
It's probably more like maybe 9 or 10, you know?
maybe 12
just
inches.
looking-
I don't know. It's big.
Well,
It's big.
12 would be a third of it.
Oh,
And it
I don't know.
It looks
But
more
it's-
like a 1 by 4 or 1 by 5. So,
I don't know.
you know, just
My
proportion.
husband loves it.
Okay. And this is in acrylic or oil or what?
It's I don't do oil because, as you know, I am the sloppiest person on earth. If I used oil, it would be all over my furniture. I only do watercolor, pencil, and acrylic.
Mhm. And Naomi, you cannot say that.
I cannot what?
You can't say that you're the sloppiest person on earth.
I
Okay?
think I was the sloppiest one in your
No,
no.
no, not even close.
Uh,
Not even close. No.
well,
Yeah. No. Other people took that title from you.
oh, they stole it from me. But
Yes, they
well,
did.
when I was a beginner, and I would slap on the paint
Uh-huh.
very heavy, and I learned to just build it up more. You
Mhm.
know.
Yeah. Well,
Not
even at the very beginning, yeah, you were a bit messy and disorganized.
Oh, why do you say that? I was terrible. So yeah,
You weren't
but
that.
anyhow,
You
yeah.
weren't that bad. Believe me, I've seen people far worse than you. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on. This is a very nice piece. It's got a
Thank you.
really nice mood to it.
Mhm.
That's in my kitchen.
Uh-huh. And again, this is one of those more vertical type canvases.
Yes.
It's not the
Yeah.
same size as the Frisket.
No, that horse is huge. No, this is a nice size.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And this is acrylic as well?
Yes, acrylic. And the next one is my crazy ladies.
Yeah. Okay, but I have something to say about this.
Oh, okay. What do you have to
Which
say?
is, well, this and your horse. Your brushwork and just kind of the way that the colors are kind of mushing together. It could be an oil. I mean, it's kind of got that look to it. It could either be.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, it's kind of nice the way you're handling the paint.
But someone gave us a lesson. One of the videos you showed,
Uh-huh.
they said if you want it to look like oil, gesso it a lot,
Mhm.
and then because it's cheaper to do it that way, and then do your paint over it.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't do it with this, but that's what I learned in that.
Okay. Yeah, you can get some of the texture and it looks, the nice thing about oil paint is when you use the brush and you lay down a paint stroke, the shape of the paint dries and holds. So you see the ridges and things in the paint stroke. And you don't get that generally with acrylic unless you use like really heavy body acrylic. Because acrylic wants to lay down flat.
Yeah, but with the gesso, and you could build it up.
Yeah.
So but this one is in my kitchen.
Mhm.
I rotate my stuff because I have so much.
Okay. So you got an ongoing art show.
I rotate them. I get tired of everything except my husband. He's lucky. I don't get tired of him, or I would trade him in.
I
Oh
see.
my gosh.
Well, that's a discussion we'll have for another day. Okay? Let's not go trading in Stanley anytime.
Okay, that's that's the crazy me.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes you do these and they don't work so well. But this one seems to hold together pretty nicely. Even though the values are kind of broken up in it, it still kind of holds together.
It's fun.
Yeah. This is one of your better ones.
Well, thank you. I'm working on them in my basement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I still want you to pay attention to value though. Okay.
Yeah.
Because let's say that these were red, right? But let's say that they were a much lighter red.
Yeah, I think I should lighten that up.
Well, then when you squint down, then the form would work. It would begin to have some volume and form. With the contrast in value like that, it's like, why does she have that dark spot on her forehead and on her cheek and stuff? Because it's not the red is the problem. It's that the value of the red.
Oh, okay.
Is
That's what I have to do. Okay. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You've used, reds and things, reds, blues.
Yeah, I
Green.
see what you mean, that I have to work
Yeah.
on the values.
Yeah, but the values hold together better here than they did on that other piece. Okay?
Hmm.
Yeah, I realize it's a different medium. Okay,
No, that's very helpful.
yeah. So here we have some drawings that you did, and you're into this women and cat thing.
Yeah.
Now this one, the drawing, again, it's not a bad drawing, but your proportions in the face, it seems like everything is kind of cramped in the lower part of the head. And reality is, if you kind of think about proportions, the top of those eyebrows should probably be about up here.
Oh, the eyebrows should be much higher.
Well, everything should
Everything should go up higher. Okay.
well, just spread out more. See,
Yeah.
because the forehead should be about a third. The distance from the eyebrow to the bottom of the nose should be about a third. And then
Okay.
from the bottom of the nose to the chin should be about a third. Okay.
Okay. Is it a third from the top of the head where the hair is?
No, from the hairline.
Okay. From the hairline, I should
The
do a
eyebrow.
third to the brow and then a third to the bottom of the nose.
Right, and then
Okay.
it should be a third to the chin. So
And a
you're
third to the
breaking,
chin.
you're breaking, the front plane of the face up into 3 generally equal.
Okay. Not including the hairline. Okay. I got
Well,
it.
no, from the hairline to the chin.
No,
not,
the hairline, but not the hair.
not the top of the head,
Okay. Okay.
because
I got it.
because the hairstyle can change, right?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, you could be wearing big hair that day, or it could be like wet and oiled down to the skull, right?
Okay.
Very
So
thin.
it's the hairline.
The
Okay.
hairline, yes.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, and that's what we call a classic 1/3 proportion.
Okay.
Now, that's just it's a concept, an idea. Not everybody has
Right.
got a classic 1/3 face, right?
Right.
But-
I'm going to work on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about, but if you're kind of making these up out of your head, a third and third and third is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Charles, can you go to the picture right below that one?
This
The
one?
one you showed? Yes.
Yeah. And see
Okay.
here, that's kind of about what you've got. The distance from here to her brow is about equal from her brow to the bottom of the nose, and the bottom of the nose is close to, distance, from the bottom of the nose to the chin. So it's kind of in thirds.
Okay.
And
So
then
is that difference because this one is a painting and the other one?
This
She
one,
used-
no, it's
I-
about where she put things.
Right. I know. I understand you saying is where the
Mhm.
proportions are.
Right.
But could the difference be because this was a watercolor and the other one was done in pencil?
I don't
The
know.
proportions are off wrong.
No, it's
No, I have to
it's
be more
because
conscious.
the artist wasn't thinking about what she was doing. as she
Right.
was drawing.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So, but let's go to the one above. Okay, again, it's
Yeah.
a drawing, right? But again, look at the
That
proportions.
is,
of the face.
yeah, that's pencil.
Yeah, and so is the other one. But at the same time, see, again, your distances are about, again, a third, and a third, right?
Okay.
So again, it gives a more pleasing aesthetic than
I
pushing,
really like that picture.
yeah,
Yeah,
pushing
me
all
too.
the features, down into the lower portion of the face. Okay,
It's nice.
I really like it.
and here's another. And actually, when I saw this, this really reminded me of some things that I've seen, from the arts and crafts era.
Oh,
With women with like, botanical like flowers and leaves and things, around their hair. But here again, see the distances, about a third, about a third, about a third, and it gives you a much more pleasing aesthetic look. Now, what I would say is, you could fill in some of this shape up in here, if not with hair, then with flowers and things like that. So
Okay,
it didn't
uh-huh.
look like her head was flat or that
right,
she got dropped
right.
in the back of her head. Because right now the angle is kind of moving backwards, and generally it tends to get a little higher there, and also a little deeper. You know, her face seems to be a little narrow overall.
Yeah,
So you could fill in a little there, and then the proportion would look, you know, more of
would
what
look better. Yeah.
what we can more or less expect, I guess. So little things like that. Okay, so let's see. We got flowers. Okay, watercolor. It looks like watercolor, right?
This is, I think it's watercolor. Yeah.
It looks like it's on watercolor paper. That doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
mean it's watercolor.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
And then it looks like you worked on your dog, and you.
Well, I know what I did wrong on the dog. I didn't do the values. I pressed too hard all over.
Okay. You know, you never do that.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but you know, well, you had shown us this earlier during the week, and you had a lot less pencil on it, I think, or maybe.
That was a different dog.
Oh, that was a different drawing.
Yeah,
Same kind
a
of
different-
dog. Yeah, same kind of dog.
Yeah, I love dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
yeah,
realized when I finished this, my mistake.
okay. You mean just that you push down on the pencil
Right.
board?
Well, everything is pushed down. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, you know, you know, and I've said this to you before, okay? You know, I love the fact that you're really excited and enthusiastic, you know, and you jump in, you know, to do these pieces. But sometimes, yeah, you know, you got to calm down a little bit, you know. I've highly advocated for a long time that you have at least 1 or 2 glasses of wine before you start actually working.
What I do is I'm
kinda
listening
tune
to
down a
lectures on TV.
Uh-huh.
It calms me that I like to be working with my hands, and then I listen to the stuff on TV, which kind of is depressing, but anyhow.
Oh, well, you know,
Add a glass of wine and you'll be okay.
No, I don't
Sure
drink.
will.
I don't like to drink.
Non-alcohol.
I'm not a drinker. I'm an eater. I'm an eater.
Oh, I don't know which is worse.
I want to tell everybody there's a program on Netflix. It's about the beginning of the slave uprising in Jamaica.
Hmm.
And England at the time of this series, England is talking about freeing the slaves.
Mhm.
So last night there was a mini uprising,
Mhm.
but we're going to see what's going to happen. But I'm interested in Jamaica because I know a lot of people who come from Jamaica.
Yeah,
Hey,
so, do you know the name of the
what's
series?
the name of it?
It's Netflix, The Lost something or other.
Okay, I'll find it.
But I like history, and I know people from Jamaica, so
Okay.
I'm interested in that. That's if you look at Netflix
Okay.
on series, it's good. It's
Okay.
very interesting, and
Now,
that's before. This is early 1800s, so they were ahead of the U.S.
Okay. All right. So moving on, we got John. And now this is a watercolor, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. And so, you know, he's got a figure and he's laid in, you know, the figure in the background. And, you know, the nice thing about this piece, you know, to me is the complementary contrast of the color. You know, they're not real strong, but you've got some warmer tones in the skin. Slightly yellowish, and then the green itself is more of a yellow green, and that plays against the violet. Yeah, and so it's
Okay.
like using those complementary colors, you know, can sometimes really help to, you know, make your pieces, you know, pop a little bit more, have a little more excitement, a little more contrast. So
Exactly what I planned.
okay. You know, the only thing I would say is, and maybe it's because of the way you're working, You know, you've got a lot of watermarks back here in the background. And do you ever stretch the piece, or do you work on a watercolor?
No, it's all on paper, watercolor paper or mixed media paper.
Yeah, but is it stretched and you know, so it doesn't move, or is it just loose in a pad?
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes I tape it. Yeah, I'll tape it sometimes, and sometimes I don't. This would have been taped because I could see the fine edges. Usually if I don't tape it, I have ragged edges.
Yeah.
So this one would have been taped.
Okay. Yeah, and that would be a good thing to do. You know, tape it down to some kind of harder surface that's not going to buckle, and that way you can work more wet and not worry about your paper, you know, distorting and buckling. Of course, if it does,
that was pretty wet. I think the background I had sprayed first with water. Then I laid in the purple. Then I laid in the umber or whatever I use for the brownish tones.
Okay. So, you know, I guess what I'm seeing here, and maybe the paper was wet, you know, maybe it was drying out, I'm not sure, but you know, I'm seeing a lot of like the brush strokes and the marks. And the way that you could get around that to make that a little bit quieter and less distracting, you know, and take down some of the texture on the surface is, again, work on a wet surface, or B, work with a bigger brush. See, and that way you don't have to make as many paint strokes to try to cover that same area. Because really, you know, where you want the texture and where you want all of the interest in the painting is really like on the figure and the fabric, because that's the focal point, right?
You're correct.
Yeah. And so right now, you know, with all the texture in the background and stuff, it's kind of competing a little bit for you. Now having the texture in the foreground, okay, you know, that's fine. Because again, you know, that texture, what it does is it pulls that area of the painting forward. The more texture you have, the more it's going to come forward. The less texture you have, the more it's going to recede. Okay? It's like hard and soft edges.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. And then you have, this looks like the preliminary drawing.
Right, that was the same figure, but yeah.
Okay.
That was just in pencil.
Now, how big are these?
9 by 12.
Okay. All right. You know, and we've looked at demonstrations, and this is graphite, right?
Yes, right.
Okay. You know, so again, you know, we've looked at demonstrations of how people use graphite. And, you know, one of the tools that they use a lot are these blending stumps, so that, you know, they actually soften edges and stuff. And you could use that, you know, in some of these areas, either on the flesh, probably more on the flesh than, you know, anywhere else. And that would make it softer and help you get a rounder effect, you know, so it's got more volume.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
Okay. So just keep that in mind. Here's your tree. Now I think
correct.
This isn't the. Yeah. Okay. It is. Yeah. This is the corrected one. Okay.
This is the corrected one. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
No, it's not.
Yes. No, it's not.
It's not. Yeah. This is the earlier.
That's the original. That's the original one before we talk.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's the one that looks like it's going up in the air, and then you have a high horizon line on it.
Right. Yeah. Right.
All right. And then this is your self-portrait.
Yeah, that was done in a mirror.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you look like you've given yourself a mustache.
I know, and I tried to lighten that. I had an eraser stump. I don't know, is this the second one or the first one? This is the second. This is the second one. This is the final one.
Okay.
It says, yeah, because I am not labeled it selfie, so I know the difference. Yeah, I was trying to get the shading. Basically, I was looking down a little bit, so there was the light with the light. It was shading the lower half of the lower portion of the face, but when I did it like that, it came out looking like I agree, like Stalin's mustache.
Right. Yeah. Now, one thing, I mean, you know, you've got like the outline of like your cheekbone here or your cheeks,
Right.
you know, which, you know, you would see, you know, you're not a 10-year-old, you know, so,
Yeah, right.
so those things start showing up, you know, with the years. But I guess, you know, if you can't lighten that up, you know, then the other thing that you could do is, if this is going to go darker, you know, because the face, it's not perfectly flat, you know, there's a slight curve to it. And if you're looking down, then that shadow isn't going to exist just under the nose. It's everything from the cheekbone lower is going to be a little bit darker. So, so you could put in a very, and this is the key word, very light tone in there, and it would push this back and under, and then the middle of your face and your forehead would then move, you know, upward into
Right.
Okay. So
and I kept looking at that. I kept saying it looks too much like a mustache, but I was not able to correct it.
Yeah, but yeah, just darkening, you know, kind of like this whole area down here, other than where you've got the mustache. Don't make that any darker. Yeah, but over here and over here, and then the chin itself, and even under the neck. And you would expect that the neck would be darker than even the face, right?
Okay, right.
Yeah, because there's going to be a stronger shadow cast on, you know, on your neck than on, you know, any of the part of the face.
Correct, right.
And see, that would push the neck back and then kind of round that face down a little bit. Okay.
And I'm looking at what you said to Naomi. I don't quite have a third on that.
Yeah, well, you're not that far off. I mean, you know, so if you look at the distance from, say, here to the brow, you know, the center of your face is a little bit long, you know, if you're going to make it a third. You know, so, you know, maybe you got the nose just a little bit longer than that.
Right.
But then you look at from the nose to the chin, right? And the distance between here is about equal to from the brow to the hairline.
Okay.
So, you know, it's just it's tweaking it just a little bit. Okay. You know, you could raise the hairline up slightly, or you could shorten the nose, either one, you know, but at this point, I mean, don't change it. I'm not saying change it.
I'll go see my surgeon.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, just, you know, the whole point of this is just to make you more aware. Okay.
Right. I think I'll go back though and try to darken a little bit to get the shadow.
Yeah, you could try that on that drawing. And or you could just do a whole new drawing and lay that in from the very beginning.
Okay. All right.
Either way, whichever you want to do. Okay. So here are your water birds, and I think
that's Jean. That's Jean.
Oh, this is Jean's. Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
They are. Yes.
Is Jean here? I didn't see her.
I haven't seen her all day.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her either.
Yeah. That's a beautiful composition.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice little painting.
But her horses, Friday, her muscular horse was magnificent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of horses, you know, she's got these out in the pasture. And I think we've already looked at some of these. I thought I took these out of here. I guess not. There's a little brighter version of it. But yeah, she's got some really nice work.
Oh, yeah.
You know, beautiful things. Jacqueline. Is Jacqueline here? I think I saw her. Jackie, where are you? Come out from wherever you are.
Okay, I am.
There she is. Okay. All right, so this is Jacqueline's self-portrait, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Jacqueline, you know, I just don't see you
I
that.
made my neck too long in this one. So that's why I did another one.
Dear, a woman can never make her neck too long. Okay. You know, it imparts grace, you know, and women, well, men like long necks on women anyway. But here's the thing I would say, you know, one, and, you know, you see yourself in a very different way than most people see you. Okay. And of course, every time I look at you, and the only time I've ever seen you that I can remember is on Zoom. And you're usually wearing like a scarf on your head, right?
Mhm.
So very
Yeah.
seldom do I see your hair. Is your hair kind of cut like that, you know, in that shape?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't know. But
Yeah. I didn't have I didn't have a scarf on yesterday.
Okay.
My hair down.
Yeah. So here's this is the same drawing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I made the lips a little bit smaller because the mouth was too wide
Mhm.
and it didn't line up with the eye.
Okay. Now, was this
I was trying to
after
line
you
it up.
made the change? No. This is before you made the change, right?
No, after I made the change, because I made the mouth. See the mouth, the
It's
lips.
a little bit bigger. Okay.
Yeah, it's wider. Yeah.
But now these are two totally different drawings, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm following you now. All right.
Well,
So,
no, it's the same drawing.
oh, it is.
But what I did was when I heard you talking yesterday about all of the lines didn't need to be on the face, so I took off a couple of the lines around the mouth,
Mhm.
and I made the mouth smaller, more in line with the eyes.
Right. Yeah. Because here the mouth is wider and you've shaded it more. And
Yeah.
then here, you know, it looks, you simplified it.
Right. I simplified it, and I
Okay.
liked it better after I simplified it.
Yeah. We all like our faces simplified a little bit more. You know, get rid of a couple of those extra lines here and there.
Yeah, I thought that was a good idea. I think you told Gene or somebody,
Oh, yeah.
simplify. So
Yeah.
I tried.
Simplify, you know, I mean, you know, it goes back to, you know, my mentor at the Academy of Art, her name was Barbara Bradley. And, you know, the thing that she emphasized to all of us was it's not what you put in, it's what you leave out that makes the painting. Because you don't have to have every little detail in there. And that's the biggest mistake that most people make is, you know, they're going for all those little details.
Yeah.
And you don't need them. You know, you need the form, the structure, the proportions. If you get that, you'll get a likeness of somebody. And, you know, you don't need the little smile lines and the wrinkles at the corner of the eyes and stuff like that. Yeah, none of that's really necessary. So, so yes, it's more how you edit and what you put in and stuff. Okay.
I did it in the bathroom, and over my over my mirror, lights lined up.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see that much shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Only
Yeah.
like under my chin.
Right. Yeah. And in that situation, you know, I mean, those lights are there because what they do is they're not like strong directional lights other than directly from the front. So everything is kind of lit up evenly. You know, that's kind of on purpose. They do that. So you can put on your makeup and stuff. You can see what you're doing. But yeah, if you want a more dramatic lighting situation, then, you know, put a mirror like at a table or something in front of you and sit next to a window. You know, and that way you'll have more light and shadow. You know, one side of your face will probably be more in shadow. The other side will be more in light. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, directional light makes all the difference in the world.
But
you know,
did I line the features up properly? That's what I
yeah,
was working on, trying to line up.
yeah, the center line of the face, you know, is lining up okay. And, you know, you got the outline of the face. Now, you know, what I will say is the proportions, right? Like,
Right.
for example, you know, it seems like it's real short, you know,
It
right?
does. My
Yeah,
nose is too short, right?
yeah, yeah. I'm kind of guessing your nose will probably, in reality, in somewhere down here, about where
Yeah.
the cursor is, okay? You
Okay.
know, because if you look at the distance, you know, the distance from the bottom of your nose to, say, the brow line or the bridge of your nose is not equal to the distance from the bottom of your nose to the top of your lip.
Okay.
See,
I
so this,
see.
yeah, proportionally, the bottom part of the face seems really large. Okay, and
Okay.
so, you know, I'm kind of guessing the nose ends somewhere down here. And again, you know, it's that third and a third and a third. Now, you have like bangs, right, which cover your forehead, but I'm guessing your hairline is probably somewhere here. So if you took the distance from here to your brow, right, and then from your brow to the bottom of your nose, it would probably be about here. And then from the bottom of your nose down to your chin, so you're going to have about 3 equal parts then.
Okay.
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 So yeah, you know.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, you know, drawing faces and you know, heads, human heads.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, that's one of the things I'm going to talk a lot about this week, particularly on Friday in the drawing class, because I'm putting together a kind of a step-by-step, you know, how to draw a human head, and it will have a lot of that in there. We'll talk about, you know, proportions and what's classical proportions, and then, you know, how to get realistic proportions to the individual, you know, that you're trying to actually draw, whether it's yourself or somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it's, you know, there's a lot of little things. Okay, but let's move on. Let's look at, now this is your, it looks like your preliminary layout.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a picture of my granddaughter that passed about 24 months ago.
Okay.
And
she passed?
Yeah, she passed.
I'm sorry.
But so
Sorry to hear
yeah,
that.
so I'm trying to do several drawings of her and paintings to see which is the best so I can give it to my son.
Okay. So let me ask you about this though, because I was curious. This looks like it's got some kind of film or frisket or something laid over it.
Oh, it's in a plastic. I put it in plastic.
Oh, it's in
my notebook. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's in a sleeve of some sort.
Yeah.
So I was wondering why we were getting the reflections, because it looked like, you know, because I've done airbrushing and stuff like that, and you know, Bob can probably tell you more about that now. But there's a material that they call Frisket, and you know, when you're airbrushing, you know, if you want to block off areas, you can buy these sheets of kind of adhesive film that's kind of a light tack that you can lay over your piece once you do like your outline drawing. And then you can use an X-Acto knife and you can cut, you know, your different areas out and peel them up. And then airbrush that area, let it dry, put that back down and lift the next area. So you can work in smaller areas. So I was kind of thinking, did she put a Frisket on this? You know, because I saw the painting that you did, and I was just kind of wondering if you were using the Frisket to block areas off. So I was going to ask you about that. Then this is your inspiration for a painting that we're going to look at here in a minute. Okay. So this is your
beautiful
ceramic piece that
bouquet.
you did. Now, did you make this ceramic piece?
Yes. And I put the decals on it, and it was fired and glazed it and fired it again.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
I like
so
it.
here's the actual painting. So that was the inspiration. This is the painting that you did. Okay. And you said that the flowers, let's see, what was it? that your granddaughter gave them to you?
Yeah, my granddaughter gave them to me a few weeks ago, so I
Okay.
thought I'd try to paint them,
Uh-huh.
paint the flowers. My first flowers, and I think it could have been fuller, and the flowers, now that I look at it, they could have been a little bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have been. Yeah.
Mhm.
And,
It's still a pretty picture.
yeah, it is. And again, this is like little stuff, but, it all kind of adds up. If I were going to do something like this, even if the vase were bigger, right? Even in reality, if it were bigger, and I were going to do a painting like this, I would probably make a choice of scaling the size of the flowers up, because really the flowers, are the thing that I would probably want you to look at. That would be the focal point. And it would make a much stronger statement, to have those flowers, bigger and bolder, and then diminish the vase that they're in a little bit. Yeah. Because right now what's kind of going on is, the flowers themselves are, really kind of fun, nicely painted. You got nice movement in your brush strokes and stuff. You get a sense of the different types of flowers that are in there. But because overall, when you collectively look at them, the size of them is almost equal to, or maybe even slightly smaller than
the
vase.
Yeah, the vase. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the vase.
I'm gonna do it over. Yeah, I'll do that over because I see it now.
Well, you could, you could add more flowers or make them bigger, by just adding more flowers in here. See, so rather than the flowers just being this big, why don't we take them all the way to the top and then bring them all the way over here to the edge and kind of let them drop down below a little bit and cover up a little more of that pot handle and have more flowers in there.
Oh, okay.
See, and then the flowers would be more dominant, and then the pot would be a little less dominant. Okay. So, a lot of times, it's just like little tweaks on things, that can make a big difference in them. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You got, this is I really like this piece. It's really interesting. Now, this is something from behind a wall or something like that?
Yeah, I just named it that.
Okay. All right. You,
just looking for.
I've seen you kind of do this character before, in some other things that you've done.
You've probably seen the character, but I haven't done that one before.
You haven't? Yeah.
Because I haven't sent you very much.
Oh, you sent me, quite a few pieces actually.
Okay.
But I mean, it's something about the way you stylized her or something. I mean, is she a particular character from a particular story or something like that you're copying, or is this something that you created on your own?
No, an instructor gave me the picture and I just painted it. Okay. I started drawing it and painting it.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of nice. Yeah, there's a lot of nice things going on here. Like, for example, what initially you kind of read, pardon me, as I often sputter, as the hair, this leaf pattern that's back here, seems to move into the hair, and kind of repeat, in the red, which is nice, because it's kind of like the continuation of the pattern.
Oh yeah,
across. And it's subtle, but it's a nice touch. You've also used metallic here, and you've used it in kind of a very loose, kind of painterly way, on the background. So again, that gives you another layer of depth and texture.
And then I used a sponge to give it a little rough look texture.
Okay, so you applied this with a sponge, and not just
I painted and then I brushed it, but then I went over it.
Oh, with a sponge. Okay,
Mhm.
before it dried. Okay. But yeah, it's an interesting image. Now, when you say an instructor gave you, like, this character or whatever, did
Yeah,
he
because
give
she would always give us pictures to draw
you?
and
Okay,
and
so was the composition already kind of this way with the leaves and things already there, or
no, I added the leaves
Mm-hmm.
and I added the color, the different, made the leaves different colors,
Okay.
give it a little, yeah,
Okay.
made them different. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now this is acrylic paint.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, she's an interesting character. I mean, I'm not really into anime and stuff like that, so I don't really know
Yeah.
what storyline she would come out of or whatever. But yeah, it's a nice design for a character, and I like the way that you've just put her on the canvas, just coming into the canvas slightly,
Yeah.
and that, because your eye, kind of moves across, to her, and then you kind of meander around, kind of like down the neck and shoulder, and then back out here to the gold, and so your eye keeps moving. So compositionally, I mean, it's working, really nicely with the way that you've laid it out on the page. And then you've got, a good variety of color and paint surface and stuff in it. So, it's a nice piece. You did well with that. Now, what's going on with the dresses?
Oh.
Oh. Or what?
Well, I just I have a fashion wall. So I just wanted to see what you would think about me. These are some of my first sketches, my dress sketches. I did some skirts, and these are the first dress sketches.
Okay.
Then what I plan to do is add the legs. I don't know how to draw legs, so I have to try to get the legs next. I have to learn how to do that.
All right. So I have a couple questions to ask you. Now, is this about the dress, or is it about the figure in the dress?
It's going to be about the figure. That's going to both.
Okay. All right.
But I definitely need to learn to draw the perfect arms and legs. So I'm working on that.
Well, you may have trouble with that because there are no perfect arms and legs anywhere.
No.
Okay. There's nothing about the human body that's perfect, other than it works perfectly for each of us. But the thing is, if it's going to be about the figure and how the dress or the clothing reacts on the figure, then you kind of need to move, you need to figure out the movement of the figure first. And then the dress has to work around it. Okay. Now, in just looking at these, the first impression I got was that these are really kind of about like designing a dress. Okay. Kind of like a concept drawing for a dress. And so I wanted to ask you some questions about that, because I see, the bust line here. Okay. And you've got, I guess these are what they call darts, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't sew, all right, but my mother did, and my grandmother did, so I've heard these terms before. Okay. But on this one, very clearly, I see that there's layers to it. This comes down and then comes across.
Yeah.
So this is one layer over another, right? But my question is, with these, these edges right here, is this like a trim that's on the side of the dress? Or
yeah, that's an idea. Ruffles, like ruffles.
Okay, but they're only on the side. They don't come across the front, right?
No.
Okay, all right. Yeah, because again, you've got kind of a flatter look here, and then, yeah, my question was, is this kind of a decorative element, to each side of the dress?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Because when you look at like fashion designs and stuff like that, that's one of the things you have to be careful of. I've seen people just kind of work on the outline, but you don't really get a concept of what's happening across here. And so if these came across, then you'd see a series, these lines or layers, moving around. But with what you're saying is it's really just on the side. Okay?
Yeah, on the side.
Yeah.
It would look good with it on the back too, but yeah,
Yeah,
now it's on the side.
Yeah, if these started here and went across the back of the dress, yeah, that could be an interesting element, design.
Yeah.
Now, what I would say is to pull off the idea that these are just on the side, the front view may not always be the best view to do that. And if I were going to try to show somebody how that worked, I would have probably turned the figure about 3/4 so you really see one side more than the other, so you could really show what's going on and that it is really just on the side, or it starts there and runs around the back, and connects.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Well, hey, that's why they pay me the big bucks. So I could sit here and suggest these things to you. But if you're trying to communicate, how something is actually put together, like a dress design or something like that, then think about the angle that you would show it at, and how you could best describe, what's going on there, so that you clearly communicate, what those shapes and forms and how they work. And then, of course, going back to the original part of that, if this is really about how these dresses are going to lay, on the figure, you're going to have to figure out, what the figure is actually doing, right? Is she standing there, or is she walking? Is she turning? How is she moving? And then how is that dress going to react, as she moves? Okay.
I was looking at some of those Proco
yeah
figures, and I can kind of see what you mean. I can do that, trying to learn how to draw those Proco figures.
Yeah.
And I can draw the figure, and then put the dress on it. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Give her personality.
Right. Yeah, and you always want that in your drawing. You always want some sense of movement or action. You don't want to make, well, most of the time you don't want to make, the figure static. You want to have it kind of fluid and feel like, it's a living, breathing figure. And the best way to do that is show some sense of movement to it, okay?
All right,
anyway,
great.
Moving on, okay, we're going to go up here. We're going to look at, now, is this your granddaughter again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I can see it now. I can see what I did wrong now.
Well, look, it's a process, okay? And you learn a little bit here, a little bit there, and the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, okay?
Okay.
So, but your proportions overall look pretty good here. About, it might be a little bit long in the lower part of the face.
Yeah.
But the proportion between the forehead to the brow to the nose seems about right. This just seems a little bit long in there, maybe. Okay?
Along in the chin area?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the bottom of the nose.
Put the lips down a little bit?
That and the nose, if you wanted to, you could stretch them out a little bit.
Yeah, because her nose wasn't it.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you move the lips down, you have to move the nose too. Now the easy way to do that is shorten the chin. See, just bring the chin up.
Oh.
Right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then it will be more kind of proportional.
Oh, okay.
And here you are again.
Yeah, well, that was before I put the glasses on.
Okay. All right. Before you. Okay. And then here's your painting of your granddaughter. Okay.
Yeah, that's the watercolor. I just did it on some paper on a, I think some of my.
Yeah, but look, you know, you've got some really nice things going on there. You know, you've got like the tip of the head, and you know, and she doesn't feel static. You know, she's not stiff and all straight up and down. You know, your painting of her feels much more fluid than your drawing does.
It does. I felt, yeah. And I felt that when I was doing it too, the watercolor.
Yeah. And so with the addition of a couple of extra values, you know, maybe by looking at the value of like, what's the face doing? Is it overall lighter than maybe parts of the neck? Then, because right now your value is about the same here. If this were just slightly darker, then the head would move forward, right? And it would push that neck back, you know, because your neck isn't attached to your chin, it's further back, right? So you usually get a shadow or something, depending on the light.
Oh, so that's what the shadow does. It brings.
Yeah, it will push something backward or bring something forward.
Okay.
So it describes form, right? What's happening. Same thing with like the eye sockets, the corners of the eye. See, if it were a little bit darker right in here, see, then the bridge of that nose would move forward. See,
Okay.
yeah, you're always pushing and pulling stuff. You know, you're pushing some things back that moves other things forward.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, but you know, look at your reference, you know, and look where the light and the shadows are on her. And if you see a shadow, then put a shadow. You know, just be careful. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a really, really dark shadow. Okay. You know, look at, you know, what the contrast is and go from there. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I think that's everything I got right now. And Surin is here. Let me go. Uh-oh. I did a bad thing. Yeah. I just closed the screen and didn't stop the screen sharing. Let me go. Give me just a second. I got to go find Surin's piece because I wanted to talk about that. And he wasn't here last week.
Sorry.
Charles, I just sent you two via email.
Okay. Who is this?
India.
Oh, India. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So let me see what I can find here. Going to work. I think it was under painting.
Oh, Charles, I was just looking at TV before you came on, and that at the Valdale Museum, they have a lot of Van Gogh paintings. The whole walls are painted, every inch of the walls, everything.
Okay.
Van Gogh, it's really pretty.
Yeah, he
on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, he's an interesting character, you know, and his work we could talk about quite a bit, and we will. Okay. Right now, though, I'm gonna talk about Surin's work because he had sent it in, and I wanted to kind of get to it. So Surin sent these in, and now this is a painting. This is a painting of your granddaughters, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and how big is this?
24 by 30.
Yeah, so it's a good size painting, you know.
Those are nice. I like that.
Yeah, pretty.
Yeah, yeah. Overall, it is. It's a really nice painting. Okay. Now, I think, Surin, I sent you an email, and I probably already talked about this. But if it were me, and I want everybody to kind of look at this, and I want you to squint your eye down, okay, as you're looking at the painting. And I want you to notice something. Notice how these vertical bars right here, you know, seem to kind of move way forward. And they're almost as close to us as the girls themselves, right? Everybody see that?
Yeah, because they're darker.
Yes. Yeah. The fact is that these are as dark, if not maybe even a little darker than the darks, you know, in like her hair and her hair, except for maybe like right here. They seem to be kind of about equal, right? And the fact is, you know, if you were actually sitting in that environment, they cannot be as dark as their hair. Okay, can't be, for several reasons. Even though the light is the same and coming from behind them, so they are going to be a silhouette. By making them the same value, you know, what you've done is you've pulled all those objects that are as dark to the same plane and moved them all forward. Now, you know, so my suggestion is this. Well, the other thing is that he has a very tight, kind of sharp line on these. So you could choose to soften the line slightly,
Yes.
but if you don't, if you don't soften the line, the other thing, and probably the more appropriate thing to do, is just take the value down just a little bit, so it's not as dark as the darks in their hair.
Yeah,
And if
I
you,
know. Right, I noticed. Yeah, I did it too dark.
yeah, so if you'll just take it back a little bit, then it will help move those back and bring the girls forward. There you go, Jackie.
Okay.
See, we're talking about that pushing, pulling thing again. See?
I see.
Yeah, we're pushing and pulling space by adjusting those values, okay? Now, Jackie, the other thing I want you to notice is, you notice her face and how her face looks a little bit lighter and brighter than under her neck, right? And so how the head, the face moves forward and the neck moves back.
Okay, yeah.
See, and it's just a change in value. Also notice that right here, and this goes for John, okay, because this applies. Notice how the bottom portion of her face is just slightly darker than the upper part of her head. Again, because her face is not perfectly flat. You know, the lower part of her face starts moving back away from the light. It gets just slightly darker, just slightly. Okay, not a lot, just a little bit. And the same thing is true with her. Okay. Now, Surin, you had asked me, oh, by the way, the other thing I want to point out, you handled the hands, you know, on both of these figures really, really nicely, Surin. You did a good job on the hands and the proportions of the arms, legs, and the figures themselves. I do have one question, though. You treated them very differently. In this girl, you've outlined her arms, and on this girl, you've kept them soft. See, and you've done it throughout the whole figure, you know, because like on the outline of her leg, you didn't really do that with her. So I would make a decision. You can outline them if you want, okay? But if you're going to do it to both. Don't just do it to one and not the other.
Right. Okay. So what would be the better choice? To soften the one on the right, taking out the sharpness of the outline, or not?
Yeah, if it were me, okay.
Yeah.
And again, it's an aesthetic choice. Either one will work, right? But by outlining the figure, you've got more contrast and it becomes a little more graphic. By softening it, it's a little more naturalistic. You know, it's really what we would see. So,
Yeah, so which one is your choice? Soften or?
Yeah, I run away from outlines around the figure because they don't really exist. But now you can, again, you know, people like Klimt and Egon Schiele and a lot of other artists use them, okay, because they do make it more graphic and give you more contrast, right? Again, you know, it's just a choice of aesthetics, okay?
Yeah, I have questions for you.
Yes.
After you finish.
Okay. Well, if I know what your questions are going to be, it's all going to be about her, right?
About the one on the left.
Oh, the one on the left.
Yeah, I overworked the face to death.
Okay.
Did it show?
Well, I would disagree with you. I would say that the face on the left is good because it's very soft. She looks soft. She looks like a young girl, right? I like that. It feels more naturalistic to me than the one on the right. The one on the right, again, the contrast is sharper. Things look a little harder on her.
Uh-huh.
And she doesn't look as young as this girl.
No,
And because of the size difference, I know that she's younger, or I assume that she's younger. Okay. So what I would advise is soften her up a bit.
Uh-huh.
Now you might want to call that overworking it. It's just a matter of, make it a little softer so she feels a little more appropriate to her age. And then the other thing I would say is really check the eyes out. There's something, this one seems maybe a little bit higher than this one. They're not quite lining up. And the width of them, they seem to be a little wide. I think you're going to have a little more space, between them here. Just a little, not a lot. Okay. So that's
okay.
Those
Yeah,
are my
next question on the hands on the left figure.
Yes.
Looks muddy to me.
Well, they're softer. They're certainly softer and less defined than hers. And I mean, these are beautifully painted. They're really nice contrast, in the values and things. And, the outline actually helps sort of delineate what the fingers are doing. But the thing is, when I look at this figure, I want to look at the hands more than I want to look at the face.
Oh, okay.
Again, because graphically, this is a more interesting, stronger area than this. And here, I want to look at her face, and, I see her arms crossed and her hands in her lap. And, I don't care too much about, the fact that she's got, one hand overlapping another like that. I know there's hands there, and that's okay with me. So again, it's about picking and choosing, where do you really want people to focus? And, you've successfully told me there's hands here. Do I need to know more? Okay. Because the emphasis is really right here.
Okay, next question. You see the leg on the left figure? I had more highlights, and I try to do that with the arm, the one on the left side arm, and also the face. But every time I did it, when it dries, it turned out flat.
Right.
When it was wet, it looks okay. I don't know, maybe because of too many layers or something.
Well, okay. So let's think about this for a second. If you put the same highlight, as much contrast on that knee as you have on the knee, on the arm and on the face, it is going to flatten it out. And the reason it's going to flatten it out is several things. One, is there a hard bony surface anywhere in that arm that would be as, where the bone comes as close to the skin
Okay, good point.
as on that kneecap?
Yeah, very good point.
Yeah, the answer is no, and so it's not going to be as reflective. The same thing is true in the face. And the answer is, other than maybe like right up here at the top of where the skin on the forehead is very close to the bone, there's really no place on the face other than maybe in the bridge of the nose that you're going to get as hard a surface reflecting as much light. So
Okay.
yeah,
So you're saying that I don't need to make or put more highlight in either places, right?
no, no, no. The face that you've got there, I would leave alone. I mean, you've got a really nicely painted face. She's got a nice expression. She looks soft. She looks, appropriate for her age. I wouldn't mess with it.
How about the whites of the eyes? It seemed to be
A
not
little
enough
too, a little too.
bluish.
Yeah, they're a little too white.
Too white or not enough bluish color?
Well, it's the eyes on people generally tend to be, and again, it depends on the light. They could be a bluish gray. They could also be this kind of pinkish gray, but they're never white.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
ever, because your eye, they call it the sclera of the eye. It's never white. It's always, just slightly gray. Same thing with teeth. Teeth are never white. They're not emanating light, so you can't paint them white. They're always going to be a gray or some kind of muted color. You got to take it down a little bit. Because the only thing that's ever going to be white is something that's really emanating light, a light source, like the sun, a lamp, or a light in the room. Even highlights, like, on a bony surface of the skin, are never going to be pure white. They've always got to have a little bit of that skin color in them. Otherwise they don't seem to fit to the skin, because the temperature is so extreme. The white is as cold as you can get, and the skin tones are much warmer. So they don't seem to fit together unless you put just a little bit of that flesh tone in them. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The eyes of the kids seem to be too brownish. The whites of the eyes seem to be too brownish to me. Kids usually have more bluish shade to make them look more innocent, don't they?
It's not so much really about the color and the temperature. It's more about the value.
Yeah.
Okay. So as long as they're not too light and there's not too much contrast there, then they're going to sit, back in the eye socket where they actually belong. If you make them too light, then they seem like they're popping out. And like on the girl in particular to the right, her eyes seem to be popping out, not sitting back in her her head. Okay. And again,
I have a question.
It's just a little bit of adjustment of the value. Yes, Naomi.
I have a question. The little girl, her leg. What did you say about highlighting? Could you repeat that again about the black outlining? Could you repeat that again?
Okay. Well.
See that the leg.
Yeah, they're two different things, Naomi. I was talking about the girl, over here on the right, the younger one.
Her leg to the right.
Well, no, it's not her leg. It's her legs and her arms. Notice how he has a darker outline.
Yes.
Right. What I was telling him is, by doing that, and it's okay if you want to do that. Some artists do. It's used for an effect of creating more contrast in the painting, but it makes it more graphic, less what we would call naturalistic. Because the fact is, if you look at people, they don't have an outline around them.
Okay.
Over here, he's painted it a little more naturalistic. So the form feels rounder on this, minus the outline. See, these seem a little bit flatter, right? Because of the outline. They don't quite seem quite as round.
If you don't want it, if you want it more realistic, you leave the outline out. But if you want it stylized, then you put an outline.
Yes. Okay.
Is this oil or acrylic?
Oil.
Oh, this is oil? Okay.
Yeah, oil.
All right.
So anyway, how about the background? Do I need to soften it, or especially the sky? It kind of bothers me.
The thing about the sky, you know, and the background in general is, you know, it looks kind of like a cloudy, overcast day. It doesn't look
Yeah.
like a, yeah,
It is. I mean, in Bangkok, most of the year, it's
yeah.
like really polluted.
Okay.
This is what,
Yeah, I mean, if I were going to do something to that background, I wouldn't necessarily change the value or the color of the sky, but I'd make it less busy. You know, you've got a lot of texture and, you know, I would just kind of flatten it out a little bit. And that way there's more texture in the city and then a lot more texture and contrast in the girls. So again, you kind of create that, you know, step-by-step series of, you know, further away and softer, and the closer to you, the sharper, more defined shapes. And
how about
again,
how about the actual color?
nah, I'm okay with the color. It's fine.
Okay.
You know, if it's a gray overcast day, it looks like a gray overcast day.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. You know, now if you told me that it was bright and sunny out there, I'd go, it's not quite, you know, what I'm seeing there. But yeah, if it's gray and overcast, yeah, stay with the color, stay with the value you've got. You know, all of those are working, and you know the whole background sits back nicely. You know, until you get to the window, and then the window's
Yeah,
pop.
okay. Yeah.
Other than
What
that,
about leaving the black lines completely out on the window?
you could do that. You could just
Yeah, it's
eliminate them.
distracting.
Well, they are now because there's too much contrast. If you graze them down,
No, but who needs it? I
well,
want to look at the girls
I
and
know,
the,
but it does tell you that they're sitting inside of a building with glass windows.
oh, okay,
It does give you some information, you know,
okay.
that could be valuable, right? Now, the thing is, right now, those are about a number 9 or 10 value. You know, they're very dark. You know, if instead of a number 9 or 10, if those were about a 7 or a 6, they would move backward. See? And then they wouldn't be as distracting because they would actually kind of fit, you know, as part of the background.
John, I would like some advice from you. When you overwork on a face of a portrait, how do you correct it from looking either too muddy or too sunken? Yeah, after you put so many layers over it, are there any advisable way to do it? Like perhaps you white it out completely and paint over with flatten the whole face, or
yeah, I wouldn't necessarily white it out, but you know, there are times, you know, where you get frustrated and it's like, you know, you're not happy with the way the color and things are working on the face, and you just keep picking at it. And yeah, you know, there are times when you just take a flesh tone or something like that and block it all out and start all over again. You know, as long as that flesh tone.
If you don't do that, what other techniques can you use?
Well, it's like once you overwork it, there's not a lot you can do with it. You know, yeah, it just gets to a point where it just looks, you know, it's not working, and you've kind of like picked it to death, and you've lost all the freshness and stuff out of it. You know, a lot of times it's better just to get rid of it and start all over again. So, you know, it's painful.
How old are the girls?
Huh?
How old are your granddaughters?
Okay, at the time this picture was taken, one was 13 and a half, the other was 12.
How old?
13 and a half and 12.
13 and a half and 12?
12.
Yes.
In the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, when that photograph was taken, they were there.
Yeah.
How old are they now, Surin?
1 year older, 1.5 years older. This was taken almost 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So now they're like, one is 17 and the other one's like 15?
No. One is 14 and one
14.
is like
Okay.
13.
All right.
Do they look their age? Or?
Yeah, I would say that
They're
the girl,
adorable.
yeah, I'd say the girl in blue, probably looks like about, 13, 14, something like
Okay.
that. Yeah. And the other one looks a little bit older than she should be, again, because, it's the lines are just a little bit
Okay.
too hard, not quite as soft.
All right, I'll fix that.
Yeah, just,
So
soft.
overall, you have to put a rating of 1 to 10. What kind of rating would this get?
Well, okay, let's do it a little differently. All right. I would say out of all the paintings that I've seen you paint, and particularly figurative paintings, this is one of your better ones.
Yeah, it's very good.
Oh, I think it's beautiful.
I like it very much.
Yeah, you've
Beautiful,
got,
and the
I do
girls are
too.
beautiful.
I like it
Lovely.
too.
Oh,
yeah, you've
yes.
got an awful lot of things working really well here, and it's just a few little things that you could kind of tweak and get it all kind of working together, and it would be fine. It is. It's very nice painting, and
So
you
it's above average.
yes, far above average. Okay, so it's just a few little things, and
Goodbye, everyone. I got another class. Talk to y'all Wednesday.
all right.
Okay.
All right,
Sir,
so-
and did you paint, but did they sit for you or did you take this from a photo?
I took a photo of them, and I put a few photos together to come up with this.
Mm-hmm. He made a
I like it.
Frankenstein.
Mhm.
Oh, they're beautiful
That's what I was
girls.
gonna say. It looks like there's two different photos.
Yeah. Yeah, he-
Sorry, everybody. I have to go too. Got another class. See you all
right.
Wednesday.
Yes, Wednesday morning. Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah. So yeah, CERN made a Frankenstein. That happens. Where
But
people
that
piece things
yeah,
together.
when I looked at it the first time, and then you started talking about the outline on one and not the other, it looked like there were two different photos, composite, put together to make one.
Yeah. Well, the lighting doesn't seem to be really terribly different, between the two
Yeah.
figures. Looking at the direction of where the shadows are falling, like under the neck and things, and,
Right.
On the sides of the arms and things. But yeah, the outline makes a big difference. And
Okay.
again,
Yeah, I'll certainly change it.
either getting rid of that and just softening it would kind of make the piece work, the two figures work together a little bit better.
Okay.
So,
Should I show you again after I fix it?
yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to see how it ends up. Okay.
Okay. Listen, I really appreciate your critique because that helps me a lot.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, that's what I'm here for. That's why they pay me the big bucks, right? Hang out.
It helps me too.
Yeah, and doing things, talking about these pieces. The value of that is that everybody learns. Because I mean, the things that you do, all the rest of us have done. I've done it. We've all done it. So it's just kind of pointing it out and checking it out. And then the more you hear it, the thing about painting is it's more about learning what to look for. And if you know to look for it, then you can figure it out. So.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I think it's more valuable than watching all the other instructions.
I don't know. Yeah, they all have value. A lot of people learn a lot of different ways. So, at any rate, guess what time it is?
Time to go.
It is 4 o'clock. We've actually been here 2 hours. Anyway, but it's been
Well,
fun.
it was a great lesson. It was a very good lesson.
Anyway, it was good
Was.
seeing each and every one of you, and I hope you have a good rest of the week. We'll be here on Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock, okay? And
Thanks so much.
send me some paintings. Paintings.
Paintings.
Yes, paintings and
All
mixed
right.
media pieces, okay? All right. Anyway, thank you all.
Bye, bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.